Hello and welcome to Flame On. I am Brian. I am your host here for the Rainbow Spotlight, where we talk to our favorite queer and allied creators, musicians, writers, interviewers, journalists, everybody. Everyone is welcome, and I am so happy today to have on one of my dearest, I won't say oldest, but definitely an older friend. I realized it's been over 10 years.
You better not say oldest. Has it been 10 years? Over 10 years?
We're going to talk about that here in a second. Joshua Yehl from IGN, welcome to Flame On.
Hi. Yeah, welcome me back, why don't you? Back in the day, I used to go by a different name under an assumed identity back during the first, what do we call them? Like the early days of Flame On.
I've called it OG Flame On.
Flame On.
I mean, it's whatever.
Original gay.
Original gay, absolutely. So this is actually, I'm glad you brought this up, as I realized my microphone cable is just dangling. I'm just going to fix that. Also, you know what? I hate this
professionalism here.
We run a tight ship. We are like IGN light, and I mean like really light. So for those of our newer viewers and listeners, because this will eventually be a podcast as well, if you want to go way back, and I mean to the beginning, Joshua was one of the co-founding members of Flame On with myself, Oral, Eric, and Jared. And over the years, things happen. Life changed the lineup in different ways. Joshua decided to move to LA and become famous. So, things happen. But
no, those were some of the, looking back, those were some of like the best times of my, when I used to live in Orlando. And I'm so super and very just grateful for you inviting me on the show. And I feel like I learned so much from you and the whole group, and just doing the experience of doing a regular show and talking and debating and arguing about these topics and stuff. And I really cut my teeth on, how to talk about pop culture and nerdy stuff and articulate my points and stuff and all that stuff. And I learned so much from you, and it's been great. Having that as a foundation to launch me into, semi stardom, but not really in LA.
Well, no, I appreciate that. First of all, you give me way too much credit, but I always and still love your opinion and love your ability to interview. In fact, I want to give you all the compliments, because as someone who is always been a fan of interviewers and learning how to interview better and do a more interesting job, be more engaged, whatever. I just watched one of your last interviews you did, not the latest probably, but the one with the director from WandaVision. Was it Matt
Jackman? Yeah.
Yeah. And I really was blown away how far you have come and just how good you are at getting that level of excitement and that working with sometimes people who don't necessarily have that same energy, but finding a way to still keep that really fresh and interesting. So I want to give you all the credit. You do a great job on your show.
Wow. Thank you. I was about to tell you how I'll tell you, I actually read all that off a screen. I had some notes, some really detailed notes, while I was doing the interview. So I don't want you to be under the impression that I can just do that off the cuff, and have it come off as clean. But yeah, I think that I actually hear that a lot, is that some people are like, wow, you're really excited about all this stuff. You haven't grown jaded yet. And I think that's, my one quality is that I still get excited for even just the little things. But I'll turn this around and say that I've always enjoyed watching you give interviews, and the way your smart follow-ups and your thoughtful questions and the way you are with people. You build a great rapport with with people, and you have great energy. And I remember the time at Comic-Con. Remember this at the gays and comics panel?
It gets better, right? That's not what we called it.
Yeah, it gets gayer, right? I had done the panel myself the year prior, and I was like, I wasn't that pleased with my performance, but then I was like, you know what, it would be great to have you come and do the panel. And I then became a panelist, right? But I just remember being so blown away by how great a job you did, because it's not easy doing like a panel at Comic-Con with a big long line of guests, and a lot of them were kind of like rowdy and like making jokes and stuff, but you were great. And then afterwards I just had such a great vibe coming off that panel that I did not get from my own panel. So no, hats off to you, Brian, to you.
It is a special kind of hell moderating a panel. I was just talking about this with Comic Book Bears, though they were talking on camera and I was in chat harassing them. Like, it is a special kind of hell dealing with panelists and trying to keep panels well balanced and yet fun and stay out of the way and get in the way when you need to. I absolutely know that it is. I will go 75% the panelists and the selection of the panelists and 25% the moderator, only because if you choose the right personalities, because and you chose some amazing people for that panel.
Well, I put myself on the panel, so.
But you're great. And that's actually good. I think there's an idea there to plant somebody who and have talked at a time with and be like, okay, just in case things go weird, because there was a panel, you weren't at Heroes. Have you ever been to Heroes? I forgot. You went once,
Heroes
right?
Con?
Yeah, didn't you go with like Aaron and a comic shop?
Yeah, I think I went there once. Yeah,
like once or twice. I remember we car tripped once. There was a LGBTQ representation panel at Heroes, and I didn't host this one. This was the Geeks Out guys. Forgot the names. But long story short, like there was this one panelist that was so unruly and it was so hard and it was so awkward, and I was just sitting in the audience and just I felt so bad. So anyway, I really appreciate that memory. And I tell you right now, the worst part of that panel to me was not knowing who Mariko Tamaki was. And I feel so bad and I felt so horrible because but that's the one thing I retained from that experience is just messing that up. It's and that's why, whether it's teleprompter and to be fair to you, it's not just teleprompter, you're doing the research and then you got your cheat sheet. There is nothing wrong with that. I have a notepad usually. I mean, that is the thing, but like, that is the thing I always remembered. It just not wanting to go to that place where you just feel stupid and you are doing your interviewer a discredit, by not doing that prep. And anyway, all I'm saying is thank you. We're great. This is awesome. I'm just so happy to talk to you because like I moved out here to the West Coast last year and I was so excited because I'm like, I have friends in LA. I would love to see you and Cena and some of the other people who I know in LA. And I think it'd be amazing. And I'm so much closer and it's like, and then the pandemic happens. And so how have you been? And again, I know you're doing pretty much everything from home now, right? With all of the Zooms and streams and whatever. Like, how are you holding up with all this through the pandemic?
Oh, just terrible. It's been the most challenging year of my life. Yeah. Cause I am definitely somebody who like thrives off of other people and like talking that human interaction, and not having that, being cut off from that. I live alone in a studio in Los Angeles. In a studio apartment, and it's just, it gets lonely, and that's rough and that's hard. And doing the work from home thing, at first it had a lot of novelty, then it got old really quick, but we're making it work. There are some benefits because normally to interview, for example, Matt Shackman, the director of WandaVision, I'd have to drive 45 minutes or an hour like into like the heart of like Hollywood or the Valley or something, wait in line with all these other journalists and then get 4 minutes to talk to him. Then I'd be rushed out of the room. But now I just kind of wake up, put on some sweatpants and a nice shirt, and then, log into Zoom. I say, hey, Matt Shackman, let's talk. It's really casual. He can see I don't have a bed frame, which is a little embarrassing, but and then you log off 10 minutes later and there's the whole junket. So it's actually a lot smoother. In some aspects, not having to go anywhere. But yeah, I do miss, being around in an office. And also at IGN, we have like a studio. You walk in, you've got like the lights and the set and the camera person and everything and a nice teleprompter. But I don't have any of that here, Brian. And I think I've become a diva over the years and having to do all of it myself, like my own lighting and everything. And I don't have a teleprompter, so I have to memorize lines, then read them to the camera. Like, gross, you know, and I don't like any of that. I don't want the studio back. But no, one day soon, hopefully, you know, once we're all vaccinated and the world starts to like thaw out again and get, you know, I think we'll get all that back, and then I can be a diva again.
I hope you can be a diva again. I am so excited to come back to San Diego when that happens again. Not this year, we found out, unfortunately, but like going to shows and talking to people face to face, and you can go into panels. It is a whole different vibe. It is a whole different experience. And I mean, following your adventures at various cons and various panels and talking to all these, you know, giants of industry, like it is. I get to live vicariously through your adventures, and I love that. So you diva it up, honey. It's fine. It's it's all good. So with interviews, though, you know, I mean, I know you do more than just interviews. You have your own shows as well, and I met some of your IGN colleagues back when we were in San Diego, and like they all seem amazing and just so much fun. But like, what is it about, you know, the balance of, you know, writing, because you write all these great articles with analysis and the interviews, and then just being a personality, like where is your sweet spot among all of that? Like, what is that one thing you just love when you get to it?
I actually had a title change come up this past year when there was an internal company reorg, and I had something added to my title. So before I was senior editor, you know, where I write lots of reviews and news and just everything about the entertainment industry, and all the nerdy, you know, movies and shows that we cover, and games occasionally, because I am a gamer as well and big into comics. But then they added senior video producer as well into my title, because I love making videos. I love, you know, being on camera, as well as just like, you know, helping other people like with their scripts and giving notes and you know, just creating fun, cool videos that go on YouTube and on IGN and all of our platforms. So that really became like my calling, and they recognized that. And so they actually put me under a senior or a more senior, very like a veteran video producer at the company, who has just like taught me so much and like all these things, because I don't come from a video background. I actually did minor in film in college.
I
majored in English, minored in film, but it was the cinema, like the study of cinema, not making cinema.
Right.
Like, so I don't have like camera skills and editing skills, nor do I think I really want them at this point. But he's taught me a lot of what to look for, of like, you know, when editing together a video, you know, after a cut is done, like how to spot little things and how to develop a rhythm, and, you know, like just make things like better and more watchable and more fun and exciting, in terms of like how to put together a video, and then also like scripting and telling a story. And I've just learned so much. So that's become like my favorite thing to do. So I love doing kind of like the bigger, meatier features, that, you know, that a lot of research goes into it, a lot of thought and effort, and then also having like a good time and adding like a bit of like humor and personality, I think goes a long way. So I love doing that. In fact, I just this weekend, I did a video. I mean, the concept's nothing crazy. I'm sure a bunch of other sites are doing it, but it was just comparing the differences between the Snyder Cut and the Whedon Cut, you know, for the new Justice League movie.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, it got caught up in YouTube's algorithm and was putting it like in front of all these people, like on like the front page of YouTube. And it just crossed over 1 million views, which, you know, normally a video we do does like, you know, like 60,000 or like 100,000 or something. And we're like, cool, good. But this did, you know, over 1 million. And it's still going. I think it was actually at 1.5 million the last time I checked. So that's the kind of thing I love to do, and is do that kind of stuff. But also, in addition to like research pieces that dig into like my expertise, that make use of my expertise of like comics and stuff like that, I love doing interviews like that Matt Shackman interview. I also did an interview with the very talented artist at Weta Digital, who recreated the special effects for the Darkseid flashback battle scene in Justice League. I did an interview with the director of the upcoming Mortal Kombat movie, just like digging into the trailer and talking to him about, you know, what all these creative decisions he made. And I just love, when I do stuff like that, I just love talking to creative people about their work and just learning how they did it, the thought that goes into it, and everything. I love that. Essentially, you know, like remember when DVDs remember buying DVDs? Remember physical media?
Oh,
And
yes.
there would be like that menu of extra bonus features of you know, where the cast or crew or, you know, the artists,
Bonus features.
Bonus features. I essentially make bonus features for a living now. If anyone wants, like, that's the short version of what I do, of like these in-depth things, like finding out how the things we love are made and the thought that goes in them. And
there is such a huge demand for that. And I don't think that it's just because Blu-rays and DVDs, people don't buy them right as much. But also, like, they're interesting and they've always been interesting, and they were kind of buried in those bonus features. And now people like yourself, Matt Baum, just off the top of my head, talked to him a few weeks ago, visual storytellers are getting to really make these cool pieces in the visual or audio domains that tell interesting stories that people may not be familiar with. And I think that is so important and so awesome to be a part of. It's something I want to do, honestly. I have zero time right now, and it's one of those things that I would love to have time to do. But like, I see like pieces that you put together, Matt Baum, even oh man, brain's not working. This American Life. Let's go back to like the audio domain. Like, they're one of the kings of these, like, just storytelling kind of deep dives. But when you get in that visual domain and you can start mixing in real moments from history or the media that you're covering, whatever it is, it's so powerful, and there's so much demand for it, right? With YouTube and all the other video streaming platforms, right? So I love that you're doing that. That is, yeah, I'm very jealous. I want a job that I could just do that. No, but I mean, and it takes a lot of work. I helped my boyfriend edit the drag number you got to see last night, and I did very little. Like, we're talking so little, but watching his process and watching him put it all together, it's exciting. It's so amazing, the things that you have, like the raw materials, and you see it in that final form and all the ways it gets there. Yeah. Anyway, I'm so happy you're doing those. Is it on IGN's channel proper? Is that where they typically live?
Yeah. They're all there. If you go to my Twitter at Joshua Yehl, you can actually click on a the link in my profile is like a link to all my work on IGN of everything I've produced that I appear in like videos and articles. Oh, there it is. How about that? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I love that. I feel very fortunate that IGN has a lot of reach, and it's most people know what it is. So when you approach them with like a pitch, when you're like saying you want to do an interview with a celebrity talent or something like that, a lot of the times they say yes. So I feel very blessed and fortunate to have that kind of access to where I can just be like, I really want to know more about this thing, and I'm going to ask these people and just make it. Like if you're ever thinking, oh, I would love to see a DVD feature about this, I don't have to sit around and wish for it. I can just go make it, which is really cool. Like last year, let's pretend that doesn't exist. The year before last year, I wanted to, in celebration of episode 9, you're bringing the Skywalker saga to an end. I wanted to do a piece talking to everyone who made the various like lightsaber duels over the years. And then we just like called up Lucasfilm, and they were down. And then, so yeah, we talked to, the people who did the choreography and the special effects and the creative people who came up with like, let's have Yoda and Dooku do like a wizard duel before they actually fight with their lightsaber. You know what I mean? And we got Ewan McGregor, to talk about his episode 1 battle with Darth Maul, which is just like so iconic, and just like, and then just looking back on that, it's called Star Wars Breaking Down the Duels, if anyone wants to check it out. But yeah, it's a series it's like a mini series of these features that are heavily produced and have like A-list talent and everything. And yeah, so it's like so cool being able to dream that stuff up and just make it happen.
I was just looking it up. I mean, I'll put a link in the chat because I don't think the link in the what do you call it, the little bottom third is gonna be useful for people, because the other ones are like, I can figure it out.
You don't have to keep touting my links.
I love it. No, I again, I'm so jealous, because like this is the content that, like, for a long time, I think people who made audio content, doing reviews, what you started as when you were a writer for IGN, just writing comic book reviews. I remember like that was so like an awesome opportunity that you pursued and followed up with and did a great job, obviously. But like, that was such a great stepping stone, not just for a career, but to like really cut your teeth.
Yeah.
And so like I love that I do what I do and that I helped in some ways with yours, but like it's that how do you grab that next ring and how do you do that? And the fact that you have this company like IGN that's so supportive and open and then has access, like that's so critical. Like other people who don't have that infrastructure have to like really like Brett White, our friend Brett White is writing this book about an actor from Bewitched, and his name is going to kill me because I've already forgotten, even though I just talked about it. But like, he's doing it independently, and it's just like, who are you? Oh, you're Brett White. You do this, and he's got even a website behind him. So it has to be really cool and just really magical that you have that access to tell these stories. So yeah, I'm so happy you're doing that.
Yeah, and I will say that I know I've said a lot of I did this and I did that cool video or project or interview, but everything we do at IGN is a team effort, and the people I work with, I feel so lucky to be working with these people because they really are the best in the biz, and I learn so much from them like every day. And I've been at this, let me see, 7 years, going on 8, and
Wow.
9 if you count freelance years, which I certainly do. So, but still, like, I feel like I'm always like picking new things up and learning things and having experiences and just learning from these people who are just so good at what they do. And we have a big team that's full of a lot of just amazing, really just thoughtful, smart, intelligent, funny, really cool people. And I've somehow like infiltrated their ranks. I'm very grateful to be there.
Well, I think you're lucky to have you for sure. So I do want to make a correction. I did look this up because I had to make sure it was I Dream of Jeannie, not Bewitched. Matt Baum did a Bewitched thing. I think that had my wires crossed. But Hayden Rourke, who played he's like Colonel something or other. Of course, I didn't click that one. Colonel where is it? Anyway, but Hayden Rourke, queer actor, Hollywood. I am so excited for when that book comes out. I am so Colonel Alfred E. Bellows, and I'm sure most of our younger listeners are like, who, or watchers are like, who? But either way, this is again one of those great opportunities. So to pursue like a story that people just don't know about. So how do you figure that out? Like, what is your inspiration, or what is your process for going, I think people would be interested in this? Like, do you have to like brainstorm, or is it just sort of a moment of revelation, or, where do you get that from?
Well, I suppose it's a combination of things. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other websites do this too, but we just look at what people want to know. Like, we just had an episode of the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and then we just look at what are people searching for? Like, what do they want to know? Which characters, which plot twists, interest them, and we will do just a feature explaining something and educating people. Some people just really wanted to know why the Snyder Cut was in square frame instead of widescreen, in a different ratio. So we're like, okay, let's do a video on that. Like sometimes it's that easy. A lot of the times it's what excites me as a fan. That dark side flashback battle breakdown features a Green Lantern, Yehl, if anyone's curious, the name of that ancient Green Lantern. So of course I was like, tell me more, because I'm a big Green Lantern fan, So yeah, a lot of the times you just think, I just think, what would I, as a fan of this stuff, really want to know about? But then again, not everything is fun and games. I was early this year. I started it late last year. And then over a course of months, did a bunch of interviews and research on how the Harry Potter fandom was coping with J.K. Rowling becoming such a prominent voice of anti-trans rhetoric. There it is on the screen. And that was just, that was heavy. That took an emotional toll on me. And I spent a lot of long hours and yeah, honestly, a lot of really upsetting interviews with people, just because their stories were so sad of trans women, who used to be huge Harry Potter fans, but have now had to leave it all behind. And then also other people in the fandom who like run like the podcasts and the websites and stuff, and just talk to them and how they're responding, because it's a horrible traumatic event essentially that happened to what is generally a very warm and loving fandom. So to have J.K. Rowling essentially seemingly turn to the dark side was a lot. And so, but yes, so sometimes it's you get serious and you have to tell stories that matter and that aren't kind of the more what's the origin of the Falcon,
And I love that you've found a way to blend and bring in those issues. I was just talking about this with someone. There's another show that's called Media Meltdown. Actually, yeah, the one you watched last night where I had my drag number. And one of their hosts, Piranha, is starting their own pop culture news show. Mm-hmm. And I said, I'm like, here's the thing that I think a lot of them miss. A lot of them miss the relevance to society and social issues. And I know, to some people, that's not what they want. They want escapism. It doesn't matter. I get it. But at the same time, I feel strongly that the communities of pop culture, whether it's fantasy, sci-fi, superheroes, whatever, a lot of them are people who want that escapism because they are hurting so much for representation, for acceptance, for inclusion, like all of these things. And so to me, nothing is more important than drawing attention back to that and showing how people like us who were, queer youth who longed and just like needed representation and didn't have it. And in some communities still don't have it. Case in point, Star Wars. Although I guess there's that one thing. I'm gonna post a link to the article you wrote about that, which touches on another thing that we're both, obviously very affected by, which was the Pulse massacre. Mm-hmm. And the work that you spearheaded and has kind of evolved into, I guess, what's the foundation?
The Drew Project.
The Drew Project, yes. But originally, like before that, like let's get our friend, your dear friend, my also from On Flame On, Drew Leonin, like he as an to honor his memory should be in Star Wars, should have his representation in Star Wars, have a gay character finally in the movie world of Star Wars. And your campaign to do that, how you learn to grieve and how you learn to panel it, and then touching on finally Lucasfilm having a queer character, even if it was for a brief moment, something. And like your piece that you won an award for, right? I believe it's the LA Press Club. LA Press Club. Yes. Like getting the recognition, great, right? And getting that attention that recognition brings to that topic. But I mean, talk about what it was like to pitch that article, how you approached it, like, that whole process and what it means to you to have that recognition for that amazing piece.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, that one, speaking of, taking things emotional, let me start over. Speaking of things that take an emotional toll on you, that piece, that I put everything I had in me into that one. And it was really hard, is all I can say. Back when episode 9 came out, the movie, it was kind of like all over the place, and some of it was like whatever. But just as it was wrapping up, there's that blink and you miss it kiss between the two women, and I had invested so much into the idea of there being a gay Star Wars character. It had just become attached to my processing my grief with Drew, that I burst into tears. My coworker was sitting next to me. I remember him just like being like, "What are you doing?" And then he was like, "Oh," and he had like the realization, and he put his arm around me and was like, "There," and I was like, it was like ugly crying, like it was terrible. And so then coming out of that, I knew I had to write something about it, and actually didn't pitch anything for, I think, a week or two went by, because I was almost dreading having to write it, right? I knew what the piece was going to be and what I wanted to say, but it was just going to be so painful to get it out on the page that I was like putting it off. But eventually, I think either one of my coworkers or my boss or somebody brought it up, and I was like, they were like, "Well, what should we do?" And I'm like, "I already have the answer. Just give me a bottle of wine and I'm going to get it out." So I have a lot of wine and got it all out. And then, like I was saying before, I work with such great, talented people, and my managers at the time all like pitched in and helped me. It was if it was like a school paper you got back, it would have been like drenched in red ink, of all these corrections and move this here and do that. And let's elaborate on all these things and to really just elevate the story to another level. So I'm super grateful to all of them. And then, it getting published and people reading it and seeing their reactions of a lot of people who also kind of felt this kind of like bittersweetness about finally getting a gay Star Wars character, but it was like the smallest little, it was almost insulting, how small and like pointless ultimately it ended up being. Like, it wasn't like even a named character. I don't think the character ever got a name, or a character who I think had one or two like lines in The Last Jedi, and they were just insignificant to the plot. So but I was still hopeful that maybe one day that would like help pave the way to more meaningful representation in the future, because they're still making Star Wars movies, and then Marvel's finally getting their act together and having gay characters in the actual MCU proper. The Eternals is supposed to have a gay character. WandaVision, I think both her kids are queer.
Yeah.
Ign is gay, and I believe Tommy is bi.
That's what we were talking about that. So what was that moment like? Because in WandaVision specifically, because I'll tell you, when they showed the two not grown up, but like in their costumes or in that moment when they had their powers, like I didn't like cry, but I got a little teary and a little choked up, because that's so huge, right? That is such a major pathway, kind of like the Star Wars kiss, to having like, oh my gosh, finally we get this amazing queer representation that does exist currently in the comics, but it has not made it to the movie. So yeah, what was that? That same kind of reaction? We're like, oh yes.
Yeah, I think I even made a tweet about it. I was like, I just posted I took a screen cap of Wiccan in his little Halloween costume that was like the gayest costume ever, and was just like, oh, birth of a gay icon. So I thought that was great. What'd you say?
I still have a picture of you in that costume.
No, don't post it.
I would not do that to you. Unless
homemade Wiccan costume. Yeah.
You should be proud though. I think to this day, because didn't you also do like a Green Lantern at one point when you were talking about Green Lantern? I'm like, I think I have that too. So I'm just saying, I have some of these outfits. Oh, and don't forget, we can never forget your boy Wonder, classic Robin. When we were first, I think, introduced, I think that was the first time we met, was at Marycon at Gay Days, and that was pre-Flame On. That was like 2000 and maybe 10, I think. Yeah. And Eric and Oral were working the show, and I had to deal with Dale Lazaroff, and you were there as the eye candy. So to paint the stage, can I share this story even if I don't share the picture?
I don't know what story it is, but go ahead.
There's nothing that's really too, whatever. You were very professional. So no, we had this Gay Days. I think a lot of people have heard of Gay Days. I know if you're from Orlando, you've heard of Gay Days, but it's this sort of major summer event for gay and lesbians that happens at Disney World and Universal and all these water parks in June. And so one year they always have like a convention. They always have like a little mini convention for just vendors and mostly sex toys and lube, but nonprofits and whatever. So there was a Comic-Con that this group put together from What's Happening, the people who did the What's Happening publication in Orlando and Florida, I guess all over Florida. They put together what they called Marycon. Cute play on words, right? And it was this little mini comic convention. And our friends from a comic shop vended there, specifically Oral and Eric. And they needed a booth babe. They needed somebody because we were kind of off in like the side area. Like we weren't in the main convention. They kind of put us in a different ballroom. So they needed somebody to go to the main floor, to walk around and sort of get attention and bring people back. And I got to be, so that was you. That was your boy Wonder. classic Robin look. It was amazing.
By the classic, Brian means with the Robin with no pants.
I mean, yes, but that's the classic look, right?
Yeah.
And I was your escort. I was your bodyguard. I was the person to make sure that you would get through the crowd, the throngs of sweaty, muscly, and or other whatevers, and not be like absconded and abducted and whatever. Yeah. So I was your guy, and it was such.
Yeah. Then you ended up having to protect them from me.
I mean, it may be a couple times, but it was good. That's the kind of scene it is, right? I thought you were going to say I had to be protected from the person who I mentioned earlier who would not stop stroking my beard, because that was the other thing that I don't know if you were there for, but yes. So that was our first meeting, and from that, many adventures afterwards. But yes, your Wiccan costume was adorable, and I do have it. I think I have it on, like, not on rotation, but I have like the Google album and shows stuff from all over. And I think I have those MegaCon, things in there. So I'm just saying it shows up every now and again.
Yeah. I used to cosplay a little. I don't think that was one of my better ones though. I do like the Green Lantern one. I actually won a costume contest when I wore the Green Lantern costume for Halloween one year. So I love that one, but the Wiccan one, maybe not so much.
Oh, our friend Sean is in, and he said you looked amazing as the Boy Wonder. I think all the costumes were really great. I didn't realize which ones did you make? You made Wiccan?
I made Wiccan with a friend who had a little costuming experience to get the headpiece, which attaches kind of a funny and a weird funny way to the the black bodysuit. But yeah, then I taped, I think, the golden design down the sides and made the gloves and glued like a jewel to these like skating gloves and everything, and got it was like a red cape in it, but it's like a tattered shawl, right? So I was tearing it and hacking at it with scissors to give it that look. And yeah, it was a project.
I love finding stuff like that. And now that I have done drag, which is so funny that Sean is here, because Sean also has done drag and fabulously in his Jess Ketting, which this is what's so funny about, and I don't know if you know this. So Sean is the drag is the new spandex voice. When we do a drag is the new spandex episode for Flame On, Sean as Jess Ketting is the looped sort of voice saying like drag is the new spandex, whatever. And I got to see Jess perform in, was it Charlotte? No, it wasn't Charlotte. It was Asheville. So anyway, it's just so random. And
that's so cool. I love that.
Awesome. Have you ever, thinking about drag, and I know you're a fan of Drag Race, and obviously we should talk a little bit about that. Like, have you ever thought about drag? Is that something you would ever be interested in? Is that just like, nah, we're good?
I've never done drag, not because I don't think I would be open to it. I guess it's just never come up, and I think I'd be terrible at it. Also, I have these big flat feet that I walking in heels would be like a nightmare.
So I will tell you right now, digital drag is your friend, because a lot of times when you're doing these digital drag shows, you don't have to have heels. I mean, you should probably, like, that's the true whatever. But like, I didn't have heels. I had combat boots, and a lot of the queens that I know, when they're doing digital drag, not for, actual out in the world. Right. But so anyway, I'm just saying, if you ever thought about it, let me know. We can figure something out, because like, I have found this amazing digital drag community that does all this geeky drag, and Media Meltdown is just one of several. There was an Animal Crossing drag show the other night. What some of my friends were in. And they did Animal Crossing drag. It was Crimson Kitty out of New York, and she put this whole show together around Animal Crossing. Like, there's some really deep nerd drag culture out there that you would love, and you might even be interested in. Anyway,
I love it. Yeah, but all I'll say is, sorry to break your transition there. I'll say I'm open to doing drag, but I'm not going to paint myself. I need someone else to do all this.
Well, honey, I'm learning. I'm getting there. I mean, that was I did my face.
You did. That's very good. I was very impressed. I loved your drag performance. You did 2 looks. That's amazing.
Well, it was a cheat though, because it was the same makeup. I put a jacket on and changed wigs. But I will say, one of the people who is in the chat right now, Miss Aphasia, my good friend and fellow digital drag queen, And actually, she's legit drag. She's done actual drag, not the digitals, not actual,
Oh,
but she's
wow.
done in person IRL drag. Let's call it
A living
IRL drag.
legend. Okay.
Yeah, no, she's here in the chat too. So yeah, she's phenomenal. I've learned a lot from her. But yeah, we can talk. We'll figure this out. I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, you've gone so far afield. Let's stay on drag. So you don't talk about drag a lot on IGN, right? Because it's not something that's probably covered at all. Has it been covered?
No, I don't recall ever talking about it on IGN.
Well, so let's talk about it because you know, we watch Drag Race, you know, we love drag. Where are you at? So I know you haven't watched the latest season 13, which I have not either. So that notwithstanding, have you watched UK Drag Race?
I have not watched that yet, but I'm going to queue it up. I heard it's great. I'm going to queue it up after finish season 13. So
let's talk season 13. So who would you say right now, if you had to pick one or two or three, whatever, who are your top choices? Oh yeah, who are your top three for this season right now?
Simone is just, I think, on another level of just, her style, her grace, the message she puts into her drag, and just how effortless she makes it look. And she's just so sexy and powerful and like funny and just really cool. She did have that one bad day where they made her do choreography and she like wasn't into it. So maybe not perfect sterling record, but I think easily gonna make it to the top cut. Gottmik, I think is just fantastic and really rises to the occasion, even when it's not her. So I want to clarify the pronouns because when I talk about drag queens, I use her, and Gottmik is trans, but he said he prefers when in drag to be referred to as female pronouns. So that's why I'm using her to refer to Gottmik. Just want to clarify all that.
Very good.
What was I saying? Oh yeah, it was really rose to the occasion, like when doing like the Russian rocker. You know, I thought that was so great, and just talk about being like effortlessly like funny and winning Snatch Game. Like that is something not even Trixie Mattel could do, but and Gottmik, just knocked it out of the park. And so, and then also Gottmik's drag is just so it's a signature look, that kind of clown face, but she can also do a bunch of other things. It's very versatile. And Gottmik has had a couple like shortcomings here and there, so I don't know if she's going to take the crown. I don't feel strongly about her winning as Simone if I'm looking at like their report card, but definitely is going to make it to the top. What about you?
Oh, those two right there. In fact, I just had this conversation this weekend. I think those two, I love Gottmik so much. I watch her makeup tutorials. I sit there and study her makeup tutorials because actually that's how I learned how to do it. I mean, I talked to a couple queens about what products to get, but like watching her tutorials, India Faraz tutorials, Trixie's tutorials, some other random tutorials of actually Pearl has some really good drag tutorials as well. All of that has been really really helpful for me. But yeah, those two, Simone and Gottmik. I am torn if I had to pick a third between I said Simone. Olivia Lux. I think she is very underrated, and I know she struggled the last couple weeks, but I think she is tremendously talented. I think she normally rises to the occasion. And then,
on Olivia, I think Olivia is going to be a great All-Stars contestant. Like she's gonna kind of like smooth out the wrinkles and really figure her. Can I curse?
Yeah, you can curse. Yeah.
She's going to figure her shit out, and then come back and dominate All-Stars.
I think you're not wrong about that. Yeah, I can totally see that. I actually also love Utica, and I don't know that she will make it to the top. I think she's sort of any day now probably going to go home, but I think she really is an impressive queen. And I will tell you, people who I know who know Gottmik, who know Utica, who know Simone, who know Olivia, all of them, like they said, all of them are amazing in professional drag as well.
That's great.
Yeah, and so it's really neat to, and UK, I mean there's so many great UK queens and you haven't seen it yet, but like I got to talk to Ginger Minge a month ago, and Ginger. Ginger's, she's been on Flame On now almost like more than some other people who've been on the show. But Ginger loves Lawrence to death, Lawrence Chaney. And I guess Lawrence opened for her when Ginger was over in Scotland and the UK and touring, and couldn't say anything, just so many good things. And I've heard that about her Aunt Ellie. And all the queens. The UK was a treasure. I actually, as much as I love Gottmik and Simone and some of the other people, I love the UK season this season. I think it was better than season 1 of UK, and given that the pandemic shut everything down and then they had to reboot, it's a whole journey that's fascinating to see in real life or in production. Have you gotten before pandemic, have you gotten out into the LA drag scene at all? Have you met any of the queens there at all, or is that
I'm not big on going to like meet queens, but I've been to some shows, and there's kind of just the regular drag nights, and then there's like a night where they're featuring someone from the drag
the UK or the
show, and those nights it's like standing room only, it's packed. And I think the last show I saw before the pandemic was with like I think Miss Vanjie was the headliner. And it was great, and I think Eureka was there as well, and who's the queen who always wanted to fight somebody?
Not the Vivis.
Is it the Vixen?
The Vixen.
Yeah, Vixen was there, but I think as Vixen was there as a boy, but kind of made a little, appearance to say hi. So it was a great show. No, yeah, LA has, it's great. It's a hot spot for drag, and
I'm so jealous.
I love a good drag show. I love it. I'll make it rain.
You live in such an amazing drag city because you not only have World of Wonder there, and you have all these great talented queens outside of World of Wonder's sphere, but like Trixie moved back to LA to do more.
Yeah, I remember I was walking down the street and then I saw Trixie as a boy just walking down, and I you kind of want to say something, but you're like, no, I'll just let him go.
I will tell you right now, I've gotten to spend time with Trixie. We interviewed her back when she was on the very first season that she was on. We hung out with her in Provincetown a few times.
Oh, wow.
Like, she is the biggest nerd in a great way. She's a gamer. If you ever have an opportunity, I highly recommend to talk to Trixie about gaming and geek culture, because she is perfect. She's so that she is us. I mean, she really is. And she's so utterly genuine and lovely. And it's, I love her to death. I also I moved to Seattle last year, and Ben de la Creme and Jinx Monsoon moved to LA.
Oh,
from
wow.
here. So I'm we were all excited. We're like, oh, we're going to go to Seattle. It's such great drag. And they're here and da-da-da. And then they're going
Oh my God. I saw a show. It was Death Becomes Her, redone by Drag Queens. Drag Becomes Her. And they were the stars, Ben de la Creme and Jinx. And it was hilarious.
I think
it had just happened after Ben de la Creme had, voted herself off. And they made all these jokes about it. It was priceless. So that's another thing that LA does that's great.
I want to say that was Peaches Christ's production, but I don't.
Okay.
Yeah. Peaches is another one who actually she's on. So I have my own hit list of people I want to interview. I don't know if you have to do that, because you could pretty much be like, oh, I'll interview. But I mean, I have my hit list, and Peaches is on there because she did a comic with Northwest Press. Sasha's on there. Sasha Velour, another one of my favorite queens. She's done comics, it does her work in the queer comic anthology that came out a while ago. Anyway, there's some great queens. Dax, ! Of course, some amazing nerdy queens. Jan actually, not Jan, sorry. Oh gosh, not Jan. From a couple seasons ago, she's out in New York. Cena was just on her show, and it's going to kill me now. I can't figure who it is, but she's doing a World of Wonder nerd news show.
Oh wow!
And I was like, oh my God, no, taking our gig, no,
no.
But in a fantastic way. And Cena was one of her first guests. Oh my, Jackie Cox.
Oh, awesome.
So that's another one. If you ever have you for some reason you need an idea and you want to pitch a nerdy, geeky queen thing, right?
Yeah, no, I tell you what, every year IGN for the past couple years has done a Pride benefit charity stream where we have on queer nerdy people to raise money for a good cause. We've done the Trevor Project and the organizations like that in the past. But yeah, this year we're doing another one, so I'm going to be hitting you up for all your friends and all your information.
Please do, because there are so many amazing people out there who do just so cool. I'm just so happy, even though the pandemic is a horrible thing. In many ways, it has allowed more people to dial into their sort of nerdier online roots and communities. And there are these discords, there are these Facebook groups, there are these Telegram, I don't know, whatever else, Parlor. No, there are these communities that have thrived and allowed people who are isolated to connect and share interests. And it's always been there. It's always been a thing, but like people have to, right? They have to find that community. So yeah, I'm happy to share that. Before we got to go, because we're, I figured this probably would happen. We would get on a tear and we'd blow through an hour, right?
Catching up.
What is next? What is upcoming? What are you really excited about? Like coming up? Like what pop culture media? Anything you're covering? Any projects? Tell me what you're up to.
Oh, wow. One thing I'll say is that piece that I won, a Los Angeles Press Club award for has actually been nominated on the national level. Thank you for posting that link. So now in June, I'm going to find out if I won that award. So I'm excited. And really, it's not about like getting an award or whatever. It's that more people get to see that story and hear that story, and which is just so important to me. And just warms my heart. So I'm hoping it wins, if only to just get out there more and keep the conversation going on the importance of queer representation in our media. But aside from that, it's really just like pop culture comes in waves, and whatever's happening is the kind of content we're making. And like, so the fact that Marvel is essentially showing up with something new every week, it's like new episodes of their shows, and then they're going to release like a movie in between seasons, and then it's just going to be like Marvel for the foreseeable future. It's actually kind of awesome, like we used to have to wait months between installments of the MCU, but now it's like every week. So that's like changed the face of just how we operate and what we do, and I think in a good way. And there's always something to talk about, and then Marvel, DC, Star Wars, there's new Game of Thrones shows. It's just like also exciting. And I'm a big gamer. I love, Pokemon and Zelda and stuff like that. And there's always new stuff like that coming up on the horizon. I also love Pokemon cards. Probably more than than is healthy.
You should be recognized because you have made a thing with those collectible and playing and doing the whole card game, which I know a lot of people into Pokemon, like they started with the cards, but they probably didn't stay with the cards. They went on to the other stuff, but you are still with the cards, and I love that.
I will brag a second. Right before the pandemic, I had my highest finish at a Pokemon tournament. It was a big 600 person like regional tournament. I got 10th place, and I got prize money and everything. And they gave me like a Pokemon debit card, which is like I keep in my wallet, even though it's empty. But then I with that win, or that high placement, I should say, I qualified to play in the Pokemon World Championships for the first time ever, which was like lifetime goal. But then of course the pandemic canceled the world tournament, and it's now been postponed to 2022, where it will be in London. So I have plans in 2022. So that's in my future as well. Future Pokemon champion, maybe.
I love so much that is a thing that you are still doing and that you have done so well at, on top of everything else. Like it's just another great feather for your quill. I love that.
When you're single and have no life, it's the things you can do are amazing.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm like, I love you so much. And I really hope that even though, you're single and you're somewhat isolated and things are changing, obviously, hopefully the vaccine's soon for you, and everyone else, like, if it's ahead of you, because, oh God, I love the rollout. It makes sense. I'm all about equity and making sure that people who need it get it. But I'm also like, okay, gotta go.
The wait is torturous.
Yeah, it is, because it's out there, and yet that it's not here. Anyway,
not my turn yet, and I'm not one to cut the line, so I'll patiently wait.
No, and that's to your credit. I love that. Yeah, but I mean, I'm really excited for when the world opens back up. I do really hope to come down there And hopefully you guys, if you have a need to come cover something in Seattle, I know Emerald City supposedly is still on for December of this year. And Emerald City is a great show. I don't think IGN would probably ever bother covering it, but if you want to come up, you have a welcome invitation to a place to stay. And I'd love running around a con with you again. It's been far too long.
Yes, we'll do it again, and I won't wear any pants.
Well, Emerald City's a little fancy. No, they might like that. But I'm going to put the links back up. If you want to follow Josh on Twitter, it's Joshua Yehl right there as you see it. And if you want to go straight to the source, go to ign.com/person/Joshua Yehl-IGN. And thank you so much for spending time. We have to do this more often. It's been far too long. And I am so excited to see more of what's coming. And I am rooting for you for that. What was the prize again? What was the award called?
It's the National Entertainment Journalism Press Club Award.
All right. When that happens, we are going to make a big ruckus, and I'm going to cheer you on. And I really hope you get it. And I really hope that Drew's legacy, that's the thing. It's so important to keep Drew's memory alive and talk about his passion for Star Wars. And that is so happy that's getting the attention it deserves. Thank you again, Josh. I really, really look forward to seeing you again very soon. And thanks again.
Yeah, thank you.